Right, we're having a band practice today. Normally we do it in here, but right, it's all full up with junk, so we're going to do it out here on the street and probably upset a few neighbours, but there you go. These guys, I've known them for ages. They're like kind of second family to me, really. But we started the band up when we were at 11. It was superb. They were the days. Anyway, I'm going to do some tucker, as usual, while these guys set up. Guys, how long are you going to be? I'm all set up.
About 25 minutes, mate.
Lovely, mate. I'm going to go and do some tucker.
What are you making, Joe?
Oh, don't you worry about that, boy. Superb. Right then, what we're going to do, quite exciting day. We're going to have a nice little band practice. So, Mr. Oliver's always been responsible for doing the food for the band, even if it was like 12 at night. What am I going to do? I'm going to do a beautiful little pasta dish. Now, check this out. Basically, what I'm going to do is I'm making a cannelloni, right? A cannelloni. And cannellonis, I suppose, well, I don't know, in England, cannellonis have got kind of, I suppose, like a housewife sort of classic, really, and they're a bit frumpy, mincemeat, this, that and the other. Now, most of the band are vegetarians, right, apart from me, because I like my meat and my fish. But so I've always had to cater for the old veggies. And, you know, I think a lot of chefs think of looking after vegetarians as a bit of a pain, to tell you the truth, because, you know, I suppose we're trained to be so used to having everything organised. When someone comes in the restaurant and says, oh, I don't eat that, it's like, oh, God. But I've always actually found, because a few of my friends have been vegetarian, and because I love feeding people and I love them to be happy when they eat food, because, you know, all food can be tasty, I enjoy feeding vegetarians. So this is, I promise you, the best cannelloni, the best cannelloni. So I've got an onion, yeah? Just peeled it. I've got a pan on the heat here, and what I'm going to do is just finely slice it, nice and fine, get in there, and just finely slice that across. And like, this is a quick little dinner, and the nice thing is, because we're not using meat, you know, we haven't got all that sort of long cooking time. So a little bit of olive oil in the pan, a couple of tablespoons. So in we go. Vegetarian cookery, right. So, if you're not vegetarian, don't start thinking, oh no, it's like beans and like dry pulses and sort of nut loaf and all that sort of thing. Because actually, like, all the work I've ever done has actually been half, it's been half kind of vegetarian anyway, because I like the Mediterranean food. I love my tapas, I love my antipasties, lovely marinated artichokes and mozzarellas and stuff like that. So, I don't like cliche vegetarian food, but sort of just good food. Love it, I'm there. So, slowly fry your onions. I want 3 or 4 cloves of garlic. Because, I suppose, on the technical side of cooking, what is good about using meat and fish is it's got all those sort of proteins and stuff like that, which give you flavour and stickiness, and, you know, if you put water in there, you get a beautiful stock and stuff like that. So, we've got to think clever. We've got to, you know, start thinking about using, you know, nice beans, lovely herbs, like, you know, meaty herbs like rosemary and thyme, sage. We've got to start thinking about using dried mushrooms. Mushrooms are really, really important, I reckon, to get the old flavour well up there. So I want to finely slice these. Here we go. So, finely slice the garlic. I've got to be honest though, like, you know, the band days of my life have been, you know, I've probably taken up most of my youth. Me and Lee first met when we were about 4 and at primary school. And, like, you know, we've had some brilliant times. And I think the good thing about music is that it never gets boring, really. It's a bit like cooking. So I've got some marjoram here. Marjoram is like, it's in the same family as sort of oregano, right? This is sweet marjoram, and if you smell it, it is sweet. And, you know, it's very juicy. It's not a woody herb, right? So, you know, this is they're going to be actually wondering what this flavour is, because I know for a fact that Uncle Lee and the band haven't tried marjoram before. I'd be really surprised if they had. So I'm just going to take that off the stalk. We're going to finely slice this.
Hey, Jamie.
What's that? How's it going?
Where's the power, mate?
The plug socket's down on the right.
Cheers, mate.
God, they should know by now. They've been here like 10 times. So, just finely chop this. You could bash it up in a pestle and mortar, but if you finely chop it, it's just one less thing to wash up, because I'm in a bit of a rush. So, marjoram in. Here we go, my son. So I've got a nutmeg, right? Nutmeg is quite an old-fashioned spice. I think I'm going to use about half of one of these, which is quite a lot, right? But I'm going to use spinach in this recipe. And spinach is absolutely best mates, lifetime mates, with nutmeg and marjoram, right? So I've got some butter. Now the butter's just going to kind of really loosen things up, really make it a little bit richer and creamier. And slice that up and just get that in here. And as soon as that goes in, this is when we start talking the business. Really, it all starts bubbling, and look at that. Like for about 4 years when I first moved to London, right, you know, just because I was working in the restaurants, I didn't stop doing the gigs and stuff, and I didn't stop. We used to do a gig every couple of weeks, and we used to rehearse about 2 times a week, minimum. And the rehearsals used to go from about 12 at night, 12:30 at night, till 4 in the morning. Basically, because I was working all day, and like Jules was in bed by 11, so I wasn't going to get in the doghouse. And basically, I used to hurn across East London on my scooter, you know, when there was absolutely no one about. And we used to go and rehearse in this sweaty old lock-up, which was horrible. And it was brilliant, but it sort of, it didn't make me look very healthy, I've got to be honest. Now look at this pan. Straight in there. Now, spinach, baby spinach, you can use normal spinach by all means, right? It's been washed, right? Actually came washed in those packets, which makes life a bit easier, do you know what I mean? And spinach is great. You put it in a pan, within 30 seconds, 40 seconds, it's wilted. You don't have to boil it like my nan does for like 15 minutes, and so it all goes grey. And the lovely thing about cooking it in this pan and not in water, when you cook it in water, water goes green, spinach goes grey. If you cook it in the pan, all that, look, you know, spinach is good for you, yeah? All that goodness stays in the pan. So, you know, what I've got is some pasta. I bought this. Of course, you can make your own pasta, but I've basically bought this, and you can get it in packs in supermarkets. You can get it, of course, in your good Italian delis and stuff like that. And it just makes life a little bit easier for these sort of, you know, I think if I'm going to make pasta, I wouldn't do it for lasagna, to tell you the truth. Now, let's just season these fellas. Have a little taste. Always taste your food, yeah? Have it. Ah! Oh, that's hot. What was that noise? Right, bland. Needs a good pinch of salt, definitely pepper. And then, you know, there's potential there. There's a lot of flavour in there. Let's have another try. Completely different. Beautiful. So, what I'm going to do is basically divide this between our lasagna sheets. So you want just a little pinch, right? And it's obviously going to get rolled up. So normally I know you get those cannelloni in their tubes, right? Which is, you know, the sort of the dried stuff. That's all right, but this is much more fun because obviously we're using that lovely fresh pasta, which is going to taste much better. So like in the olden days, even after work, when I used to go to band practices, like I'd always phone up Lee or Louise and say like, oh, you know, is it on tonight? And oh yeah, it's on tonight, it's on tonight. Are you hungry? Yeah, yeah, always yes, always yes. And I said like, what do you fancy? Oh, just whatever. So I'd be cooking like staff dinners after work, and then I used to be doing doggy bags in tinfoil wraps, and I used to take it home, and basically it was like a riot. As soon as I got into the band practice, everyone was there and set up, because, you know, they weren't working late, and I would open out all this tinfoil like a big picnic, like that, and they all used to dive in. And, you know, eating at 1 in the morning, it's not very good for your digestive system, but, you know, it was nice. So, look, basically, get this lovely mix and just open it out like that. Just, like, flatten it out a bit, you know, so it always nice and thin. So when you roll it up, you get that kind of rolled up sort of roulade-y sort of effect. Now, this is a sort of cheese that I know the guys haven't tried before. It's called ricotta, classic Italian cheese. It's basically really, I mean, the way it's made, it's really, you can get buffalo ricotta, which is nice and sort of gooey and sort of like mascarpone and soft and rich. But this is crumbly, and that is really good for us because it gives us lightness, it gives us colour, it gives it, I mean, it's milky, it's clean, and you know, because it's milky and clean, it completely contrasts that kind of big spinachy marjoram-y sort of filling. So just crumble that over the top. Bit of salt, bit of pepper, lovely. And then Parmesan is just going to make this perfect because Parmesan has this brilliant ability to sort of round things off and make things just right, you know. So nice little grate of that. Parmesan. This is quick food, you see, and it's posh as well, you know. These guys are going to think that I've given them a good old spoiling. Now, before I roll those up, right, I want to sit them on a little sauce so they're not all dry and horrible. I want them into nice gooey, yeah, and crispy on top. So I could do like a creamy and a cheese sauce. I could do like a bechamel sort of type sauce. But what I want to do is a tomato sauce, and instead of doing the sort of, I don't know, the more predictable cooked tomato sauce that's quite rich and frumpy, what I'm going to do is got some nice vine tomatoes, right, and I'm literally not going to cook them. I'm just going to bosh them in this food processor, obviously get rid of the stalks. And if I whiz that up with a nice bit of basil, nice bit of the old fresh basil, yeah? If I whiz it up, like, it's going to be a really zingy, sort of vibrant, sort of delicate sauce. So, and apart from anything else, it's quick and I don't have to get another pan dirty. Lovely. Now, have a little taste. We've got to season it now or never. So a good pinch of salt and pepper. I know that's going to be good. Lovely. So, what I need is a little dish, like little baking earthenware type dish is fine, and need a little bit more of that in there. Lovely. I'm just going to pour that in here straight away. And that is not cooked at all, but it will have a little bit of a cooking in the oven, obviously. But all the excess water in there, which you'd normally cook away in the pan, is going to cook into the pasta and make it really juicy, yeah? So what I need to do now is just fold these up, just like that. Like that. And they're like little sort of sausage roll-y sort of things. They're beautiful. Here we go. Now, all I need to do now is put these in here. Place them in there. You can, like, you know, space them out a little bit. You don't have to do them in any sort of specific order. Here we go. Squeeze them in. The more the merrier. And all these lovely little bits that are falling out, don't even think about throwing those away, because they're the best bits. Sprinkle those on top. So, right, we could bake that now, but what I need is a nice melting cheese, yeah? And there's only one really, mozzarella. So, just get this old fella out. Nice old fella like that. And this is buffalo mozzarella, so it's a lot more creamy, and you know, for the old veggies, it's going to get the old flavour way up there. They would have never tasted mozzarella like this, not like that chewy old sort of wine gum sort of rubbery stuff. So just sprinkle this in and around, and then just the only thing you've got to do to finish it off is like just a nice little layer of Parmesan. And I swear to you, this is beautiful. This is beautiful stuff. Now, of course, if you wanted to get some meat into it, you could just fry that off first before you add the spinach and the onions and stuff. Another good thing is to put a little bit of soaked dry porcini in there. Gets the flavour well up there. So all I need to do now is cook the pasta, which is fresh. It only needs a little bit of cooking. But essentially, I want it to gratinate, go all nice and crispy on top, bubbly on the bottom, and I'm going to cook it for around sort of half an hour at about 220. And that'll be beautiful, mate. So what I'm going to do now is a beautiful little mushroom dish. Basically, it's grilled mushrooms with parsley and lemon. It's absolutely spot on. Check this out. Right then, guys, what we need is about 8 large flat-filled mushrooms. They're cheap as chips and you can get them everywhere. Take off the bottoms just to sort of flatten them up a bit. Get them onto a really hot griddle pan that's been preheated and put them top side facing up just to get the old heat going. Now, what I'm going to do, and this is the real twist here, is get a little bunch of fresh thyme, tie it up, put a little bit of salt in the pestle and mortar, and bash it. Now, what's going to happen is it's going to leave the stalks on, and all the lovely soft leaves are going to fall off. Now, you're going to get two things here. You're going to get your little broomstick, which is going to act as a brush when you brush the mushrooms, and then all that lovely flavour in the pestle and mortar. You have about 5 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil, a couple of tablespoons of vinegar, a bit more salt and pepper, give it a good old mix around, and then dip your brush in that lovely marinade and just turn the mushrooms over and dab it. Just dab it, and it's going to suck in all that lovely flavour, and it's going to be really tasty. Turn it over again, just dab it on top. You might have to do that about 3 or 4 times, right? Anyway, while this is going on, finely slice some parsley stalks and some parsley, a little bit of fresh chilli, and then when the mushrooms are done and cooked, you can taste them if you like to check them, get them on a plate, lay them out flat, and sprinkle them with parsley and the chilli. And what I like to do is just put a little bit of lemon zest in there and then squeeze over the juice. It's going to be gorgeous. And then just to finish it, loads of extra virgin olive oil. Check the seasoning. Oh, lovely. Right, so what I'm going to do for dessert, right, because, I'm not really a massive dessert person, but I've got some strawberries, I've got some rosemary sticks, I've taken off the rosemary, I've spiked it, and I've done it through the strawberries, right, and that will give it flavours, because actually rosemary and strawberries are wicked. I'm going to get some caramel on the go. So I've got a pan here, got some caster sugar, I want about 8 tablespoons of water. About 8 tablespoons of water. And we're going to basically bring it to the boil with about, I don't know, a cup of sugar. Yeah, just over a cup of sugar. And that's going to make our caramel. So just put your sugar into the water, let it all sort of, just give it a little jiggle. And as it starts to heat up, you don't really want to touch it too much. It will start to clear, then bubble, and then get slowly darker and darker and darker. And when it's golden brown, we're going to put that over the strawberries. It's going to be like a really crispy, crunchy sort of coating, yeah? So to go with it, I'm going to do like a mascarpone cream, which is very, very nice. And I suppose my twist on this is a few little things, really. And what I need to do for that is sweeten it. So I could tell you an amount, but I can't be bothered because it's always a little bit different depending on the mascarpone. So just add it, really whisk it up, and when you give it a whisk, it goes really shiny all of a sudden when you get the sugar in there. Look, it's just starting to get a bit shiny now. Right, so we've now turned it essentially from a cheese or a cream into like a dessert, like a custardy sort of flavour. So you could put vanilla in here, that would be lovely. But what I'm going to do is I've got some limoncello, which is actually quite a famous sort of Italian liqueur, I suppose it's called liqueur, which is called limoncello, which you always serve ice cold, and it's quite syrupy, and it's made with lemons, very, very lemony. And I'm going to put about a wine glass of this stuff. You can see it's a little bit frozen. It's quite strong, it's quite alcoholic, but by the time it hits the sugar and the mascarpone cream, it's going to be a very subtle flavour. And this is not kind of like big flavours here. So how's that sugar going? You can see now that's gone all bubbly, and as it gets hotter, the bubbles get smaller and smaller. And eventually it will start colouring up. So, nice thing about adding the limoncello, this cream gets shinier and shinier, and it looks gorgeous. And so the lemon, the cream, and these together are going to be a wicked little combo. Now, my little twist on this, apart from the limoncello, is finely slicing some of the rosemary from the stalks. Right, they're nice fresh rosemary, and if you finely slice it, you know, it's nice and delicate and you can eat it. Here, look at that. You can see the caramel coming. Look at that. And you just like give it a little jiggle about, keeping it even. Right, you can see the bubbles getting smaller now. So, finely slice it. Gumasan! And that's it. We're done. Dessert done. I'll serve it up a little bit later. A nice little dollop of this. You know, I've got the strawberries I'm going to finish now. I'm going to get a little bit of lemon zest and just zest it over here just to sort of get that zinginess up. And that is it. So, see, look, now it's brown, golden brown. See how golden that is, yeah? We're going to take it another 10 seconds, right? And you don't want to ever touch your fingers in there because that's hot in there. And I've put these little fruit kebabs onto a little rack on a tray, right? So it's important you get the kids out of the way and you don't let anyone try and eat this before it's ready. So what I do now is I just slowly pour the caramel over the strawberries. Look at that, look at that. Gorgeous. And it's going to be like a little toffee apple. Right, try and make sure they're all kind of evenly coated. But if they're not, it doesn't matter. As long as I get a little bit of caramel, you know you're going to be laughing. Food's done, you ready?
Hey, nice one, mate.
Lovely.
In this world of mine, a million things run through my head. I gotta take some time to do the things I always set my heart on. 'Cause I don't know where I've been. I got lost there somewhere. There's so much I haven't seen. Would you take me there no matter who you are? Won't you come into my world like a shooting star? Take this journey with me to the heart. Gonna reach that high and turn this world right upside down. I'm gonna cross that sky on a silver cloud, but I can't tell which one. 'Cause I don't know where I've been. I got lost there somewhere.